This is Stephen Osicki from the band Caterpillars, and you listen to the podcast As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. This week, we welcome Caterpillars drummer Stephen Osicki to the podcast. Caterpillars will release their new record, Where Shadows Go to Speak, on August 28th via a brand new label, Friend Club Records. When Stephen and I chatted, cassettes were half gone, but looking online this morning, cassettes have now sold out. So you missed out on that, but the album is available on Bandcamp and will be on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. A link to pre-order on Bandcamp will be in the show notes. If you enjoy what you hear on the show, I encourage you to snag a download of the record. It's hard out there for bands these days, and supporting by buying the record is the very least that we can do as music fans. Stephen talks about how his dad almost became a one-hit wonder, how moving for a girl cost a band signing to Equal Vision Records, and the new Caterpillars record. So enjoy this week's chat with Stephen Osicki. How is the question I've been asking everybody now is, how is life in the time of COVID for you, Ben?
Oh, man, it has been crazy. Like, a lot has been going on, like, because I just had a baby.
Yeah.
June 12th. So,
congrats.
Thank you. But, so I've been going through all of that lately, just trying to cope with everything, not be able to do so much. And, and it's been hard, but at the same time a blessing, because like we finished the album, we got a lot done because of the quarantine, because luckily we did the drums before the whole thing happened.
Yeah.
So so it was like a blessing that we had time to do guitars and everything at our own homes, because that's what we're going to do anyway. We're going to record everything ourselves anyway, and plus with the whole parents and being a new parent and everything, it gave me time to like get ready for the baby, make sure everything was good to go and stuff. And the only bad thing, about it, kind of messed things up, was like our family couldn't be around for the baby. We couldn't do a baby shower. We couldn't do like Lamaze classes or anything like that. So like, we had to do everything on YouTube and stuff. So we may do. Yeah, we may do. But, that I think, just that experience alone would have been cool just to be a part of. So, yeah. but we're making it through.
That's cool. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in South Jersey until I was maybe, I moved around a lot. But I lived in New Jersey, South Jersey, like Vineland, Millville, New Jersey, until I was like 17, I believe. And then I went to Ocean City, New Jersey for 10th grade, so like 16, I guess. And in Ocean City until I was in my junior year. And then my mom got married to this guy named Virgil that wanted to move back to Michigan because that's where he was from. So I went to high school my junior and senior year in Manistee, Michigan. But I moved back to Philly with my dad right after I was done school, because I wanted to be back with my friends and my rest of my family and stuff. And then I moved to Arizona. I moved to Arizona when I was like 23 or 24, I believe, because of this girl. And then I moved to Texas because of the same girl. Then I moved to Texas because of the same girl. And I've been in Texas since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did things work out with the girl?
Oh no, it didn't work out with the girl at all. No.
Not the baby mama.
No, she pretty much dumped me right when I moved to Texas.
Oh man.
So I dropped everything, for her in Arizona just to move to Texas. And then, luckily I had a good job and so, Texas still worked out for me. And now, I have a wife and I have a new kid. So it all worked out.
It all worked out. That's great. What got you into music?
My dad was a drummer in a lot of cover bands when I was a kid. And, my dad and my Uncle John. My Uncle John wasn't in bands, but my dad and my Uncle John taught me so much about music and my dad taught me about drumming. My Uncle John grew up listening to Rush, Queen, the Pixies, all that stuff, Fugazi, and so I was lucky enough to grow up with that kind of music and stuff, and and my dad, grew up with not my dad, but I did. But my dad grew up with Nine Inch Nails and a lot of industrial music, like Skinny Puppy and everything.
Okay.
Which was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy and stuff. That's my dad. My dad used to love industrial music and Tom Petty also, and some classic rock stuff. But that's just how I got into music. Just from my dad and my Uncle John. My dad played in cover bands. He actually wrote the drum beat for the song "Walking on Sunshine."
Oh, really?
The song, yeah. He played with Katrina and the Waves for maybe a couple months, if I remember correctly. And before they got signed, before the whole that thing happened and stuff, they came to America because I think they're from a different country or something. And he had played drums for them, and they were working on that song, and he came with that drum beat. But he didn't I don't think he recorded the song, but he made that beat.
And that's amazing. That's super cool. Just missed out on being one hit wonder.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know what happened, or maybe he was just there just as a person to help out or anything. But I don't know what happened. And plus, my dad still is. He's a roadie. So I used to go to concerts with him all the time when I was a kid, just to go backstage and stuff. And I met a lot of bands that way and stuff. And he still does it now. He's still a roadie now since I was a kid. But he does more cover band roadie stuff now, local stuff.
Because he was a drummer, was it easy for you to just take up that mantle and play drums from him? Was that your instrument of choice because drums are around?
Drums were definitely my instrument of choice, but I didn't really learn drums from my dad. I picked up drums a lot later in my life. I started playing drums when I was 5 years old, but it wasn't something I played all the time. I didn't even have a drum kit, so it was just here and there. I really started playing drums when I was in high school and actually getting into it and stuff. But yeah, and I just did it myself, and I think the only reason why drums resonate with me because they were around when I was a kid. They're the ones that kind of I noticed that I touched and everything. But drums really didn't really start until I was a teenager.
When you started, because you moved around so frequently in high school, was it hard to get into bands and play that way?
Yeah, I mean, I played in cover bands here and there. So but I was never in a band until I moved back to Jersey from Michigan and everything. After I moved to Michigan and stuff, I played in this band in Michigan that was high school with my high school friends, and we did one New Year's Eve show where we just played Nirvana songs. So, but besides that, I didn't actually join a real band until I moved back to Philly and Jersey and everything. And then that's when music actually took over. That's when I was man, I want to do this. I fell in love with it when I found this one band that I used to play with called Lenity, which was this worship Christian band that I used to play in. But And I didn't get serious into that until I was in that band Manatee, and then I was like just in love with being in the band. So, yeah.
So since that point, you always tried to find a band. Like, did you have a band when you were in Arizona and then, Texas to Caterpillars?
Everywhere I went, I tried to find a band. I was in a band in Arizona called the Constellation Branch.
Okay.
We released 2 albums, and we were actually close to getting signed to Equal Vision Records until I moved.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I kind of dropped everything for this girl until I moved and everything, because we were touring a lot. We were doing really good and stuff, and, but, I was, like, in love with that band. Like, I was, like, heartbroken that, I decided to leave that band, and it didn't work out between her and I and stuff. But yeah, I was in that band for a few years, and that band was great. But then when I moved to Texas, I started, I think Caterpillars was the first band I tried out for. I can't remember, but yeah, when I moved to Arizona, Caterpillars was already a band since 2008, but I joined the band in 2011 after their first EP. They had a drummer. Yeah, they had a drummer already that recorded their first EP that I was a part of, but he didn't. I guess he quit or whatever, and I didn't join them to 2011. That's the year, I think 2010 or like early 2011 when I moved to Texas.
That's cool. And at that point, they had done their first EP with Ed Rose, so I mean, they already had that familiarities. What was that like for you? You joined this band and get to go record with Ed Rose.
Well, yeah, when I found out they recorded, I think that's what kind of got me really interested. It was like, okay, Ed Rose, okay, this is awesome, because I don't even know who Ed Rose was from all the bands I listened to and stuff, so it got me really, like, interested, like, who is this band? Like, they recorded with Ed Rose, this is awesome. And when I heard their music, I just fell so much in love with it. And then, Chris and I just talked and everything, and it just, we connected, and I just been in the band, kind of since the whole, I started, except for like a year. I quit the band for 1 year, maybe a year and a half, to focus on work and stuff, where they had another drummer sit in for me, I guess you could say. But before that, we recorded an album called The Other Side, which was mixed by Ed Rose. So I still got to work with Ed Rose again. So that was cool.
What's been the trajectory and life of the band as it's played out so far? Mostly like local and just working in around your lives? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. That's what it is right now. Is we've just been definitely right now. I have a new kid.
Yeah.
Our bass player lives in San Diego. And our new guitar player lives in Austin, and Chris lives in like outside of Fort Worth. But even before then, we played just tons of local shows. We did tour a few times, but we just never got a chance to like do a full tour and everything because at the point when Caterpillars was still being a thing, it became a back burner in a way because we knew that work and stuff was more important, and we just started doing it for fun. So we never really talked about touring as much, but we did want to tour still. We did, try to get signed to a label, whatever, and stuff. But that was before. Now we're just like, whatever happens, happens. And especially with the COVID thing, who knows when we're ever going to even play a show again. So
yeah,
so yeah, but it's always been mostly local. since I joined the band, with a couple like week tours here and there.
That's cool. How'd you guys get connected with Friend Club Records?
Our friend Rob, who, there's this group called Midwest Emo Posting, which is a huge emo group that has I think 18,000 people, 13,000, something like that. And they just talk about music and stuff. And the guy who runs that group on Facebook, him and this guy named Rob wanted to start a record label that kind of had the whole Deep Elm Records vibe to it, Tooth and Nail, old school Tooth and Nail vibe. And they wanted to start it and everything. And so they wanted to start the label with some of their friends that they were in bands. And that's just where we came in. I knew Rob, I knew Daniel, and we talked about what we wanted and stuff, since the whole pandemic thing is going on and stuff, what most we can do with our music, and they just seemed like they fit what we wanted to do with our music. And so we just went with them, and it's been great ever since. Yeah, they're up and coming still, and I mean, it's surprising, they're already talking about other big bands that people know, that they're going to release music with already, which is crazy, and they just started. They had this one band, I can't remember the name, it starts with a V, Verdera or whatever.
Vicora?
Yeah, and it has members from Port Olu in it.
Yeah.
Port Olu in it. So, it's crazy, So, I'm really proud of them, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
This life that you live is the best that we can give you. Do you want to sit down for this? For news you don't want to get, dear. We are fragile, porcelain chandeliers, bones thin as ice.
So you guys are going to release your brand new record, Where Shadows Go to Speak, August 28th, just around the corner. Is there a theme to this record?
There is. We try to make it, it's kind of weird. We didn't end up trying to make it a concept album, but, a couple songs in, we're we're writing this, we are writing about the same stuff. Maybe we should make it a concept album, but we didn't start the album as that idea. So now the album is about a guy who's in a really deep coma, and dreaming in it and just trying to get out of it and stuff, and that's pretty much what it is. It's just about a guy that's in a coma, that's in a deep coma, and having dreams while he's in there, and and about the people that are outside the coma, what they're going through as well, grief and everything, what they should do, if they should pull the plug, so it's back and forth, it's about the person that's in the coma and about the people that have to decide what they should do, should they play it out, or should they, just let it, let nature take its course kind of thing. So yeah, so we didn't start the album as a concept, but it just turned out that way because a lot of the songs started blending together and the lyrics started matching together. So then when 4 songs in, we're well, these songs actually connect, so maybe we should just make a whole album about this whole scenario, and so we did.
You said you guys recorded this on your own. You had recorded the drums and everybody else kind of record at home. What was the writing process like? What's your writing process like as a band?
Well, usually our writing process from the other albums, Chris writes a lot of the music. So he has the bones, the guitars and everything and vocals already. And then we usually go to practice and play them out. But this album, again, because of the pandemic, that we couldn't. So we had to like just go back and forth. Luckily, a lot of the songs were already written, and I recorded drums at Chris's house. So luckily, I had all of that done except for maybe like one song or two songs. But yeah, luckily we had all that done and stuff, and now the songs are done already before the pandemic. But when it came to guitars and bass, we didn't have none of that done. And we were talking about going back to Cleveland, Ohio, to work with Jim Wirt again, who did our second full-length album. He worked with Incubus, Fiona Apple, Jack's Mannequin, bands like that and stuff. So he did a second album, The Wicked and Wonderful, and we were actually talking about maybe going back to him, but because of the whole pandemic and how expensive things got, it just didn't work out. So we just did everything ourselves. Eric is a beast. He's a new member of the band. He just joined the band like a year and a half ago, right when we started working on this album. And he is such a beast. He's an amazing guitar player, and he mixed and mastered the whole album himself. You know, we just sent him guitar parts. We sent him ideas through email, you know, bass, vocals, just, you know, at our own house. And he just did his thing and then sent them back to us for approval, and that's how we wrote the album. Yeah, he did so much, and he did it all for free. Even though he's in the band, you know, it's kind of like, man, we should pay you something. but because he did so much, and yeah, he is such a beast doing it. But it's funny that it worked out for him, because now, because how he fell in love mixing this and mastering this album, he's actually doing it for other bands now. So he's actually making extra money because of this album that he did. So it worked out for him in the long run. So that's cool.
Yeah, the record's super cool. What were your influences while writing and I guess general as a band?
Well, our influences are like the Appleseed Cast, Sunny Day Real Estate, old Jimmy Eat World, I guess, like Clarity, Jimmy Eat World, and I know I like Death Cab for Cutie, but I know Chris and Ben, I think, are like huge Death Cab fans, and minus the Bear fans and stuff and everything. But so yeah, and I think on this album we wanted to go more melodic and stuff than we did the last EP. Last EP we kind of went post-hardcore, more aggressive. The Company of Wolves, because we just wanted to write a political album. So we got our energy and our angst out of that EP, and we were like, well, let's just talk, at first we were talking about making an album that was going to be all acoustic. So, we're going to make this a stripped down album and everything, and just be like, okay, what influences we can do. We're thinking about Jeremy Enig's solo stuff. We just wanted to do a stripped down album, and it didn't end up that way. But all the songs are actually written on acoustic guitar. So even on these recordings, every song has acoustic guitar on it, because that's how the song started out was acoustic. So, but our influences on this one, I guess you would say, is like Mew, Jeremy Enigk. Me drumming wise, it was like the Talking Heads and stuff. Like I tried more folky kind of beats and stuff, and more kind of like indie beats than just aggressive and just straightforward beats. So yeah, so it varies,
Yeah, you mentioned the Company of Wolves. On that EP, you have Jonah from Far on the title track. How'd you guys end up working with Jonah, getting him to record with you?
Well, I talked to Jonah for a while on Facebook. I met him once because my old band, the Constellation Branch, when Far did a reunion tour, opened for them in Arizona, Phoenix. And so I got to talk to Jonah and the rest of the guys back then, and just ever since I just been friends with Jonah on Facebook. And then I was like, man, like this one song is like super Far, like the band Far sounding, like very like aggressive and post-hardcore and stuff. I was like, man, we could get Jonah on this. And so I talked to the guys. I was like, how would you guys feel if I just emailed Jonah and asked him to do some vocals for it? And they're like, whoa, you know, like, heck yeah, let's do it. So I just emailed him, asked him, and he was like, yeah, I'm totally down. Let's do this. And so we sent him the tracks, and he did his part, sent them back to us, and we got him in the song. Yeah, and then I guess like a few months later, before the album even came out, or maybe the album was already out, I can't remember, he did a Water Solutions tour where he did like songs from Water Solutions with a backup band, and we got to open up for him during that tour, and then he came on stage and sang his part on our song with us, which was amazing. It was like such a cool experience because like I love Far, you know, I love his projects, One Line Drawing, New and Original. So it was like so cool to see someone I looked up to when I was like, you know, younger actually playing with him was insane. It was so cool.
You may want to check your facts. Do you really think that we are the bad men? Even your heart requires a contract. Everyone is right in their perspective. Tell your lies to the misinformed. Say what you
August 28th, new record, Where Shadows Go to Speak. Cassettes are at least half sold out, I saw on Facebook.
Yeah, cassettes are, we're doing cassettes and digital right now. We do have CDs coming, which I'm excited about, you know, and I really hope this album will get a vinyl pressing, but we'll just see how that goes. But right now, it's not in the books right now, but we do have CDs coming eventually. But right now, we're just doing tapes for pre-order and some, you know, some streaming services, of course, we'll have when the album comes out. Yeah, we're talking about different options, you know, like maybe do it at Indiegogo or a Kickstarter or something to see what you know, what comes of it and everything. Because the label we're on now, you know, they're still a very small label, and so they're starting out, so they don't have the money to do vinyl yet, so it'll just be under us. But, you know, the tapes and stuff they're doing, everything, are coming out so cool. You know, the tapes look amazing, and I'm so excited about those. And I know people are like, tapes, like, what the heck? Like, but it's really cool, and, you know, it does come with a digital download. So, you know, people, you know, when they do buy tapes, they still get a digital download, so, you know, so they have two options to listen to and everything. But yeah, I'm excited, and, you know, it's just crazy, you know, to be, you know, working again with all the stuff going on, you know, because, like, I quit the band. Well, me and Ben quit the band earlier this year, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, earlier this year because the baby was coming. Ben was moving to San Diego, and we're like, well, we can still finish this album, but we can't do any more and stuff and everything. So we were done. But then, you know, we started talking more and stuff, and like the whole pandemic thing happened, and man, I think I mentioned the pandemic thing like several times in this interview. But you know, that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's on all our minds.
And but yeah, and it just worked out that we can stay in the band and still write amazing music, and you know, and it's cool because Ben has so many travel like flyer like what are they called, frequent flyer miles, that if a show happens that's like super important, that he can just fly down there and play the show. And like, okay, this could work out still. This is awesome and everything. So we talked it all out, and we decided to stay in the band and just make it work what we can do. But at that time, there was a song that we just released a single for called Tangent. And that song is actually about me and Ben quitting the band. So it's kind of like a breakup song, love song to me and Ben. And so it's a very personal kind of song, but he kind of hid it to make it sound like a love song, like a goodbye song about a couple. But the song was actually about me and Ben, which was like intense when he told us that, because I had no clue. And then he said that, and I was like, oh wow. It's kind of like Don't Speak by No Doubt. She wrote that song about the bass player because he used a date, and he was like, I know the song's about me, but I'm going to play on it anyway.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our theme song was written and composed by the legendary Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe on iTunes and give the show a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, click on the Patreon link at asthestorygrows.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tomb. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, more I want to know, more I want to show you. As the story grows, as the story grows, you can create something lasting and great, something passionate and real. And I'll bring in my own good feelings, I'll sing it with meaning. Let's just attack it and never look back. It's wild and fantastic. All together at full power, we're so much better. What's that word?